Namaskar. Today I'm going to talk about Pancha Kosha Viveka. Pancha Kosha Viveka is ability to see different layers of the mind. There are 5 layers of the mind. In the West, already psychologists, they also found out, like Jung, he has described that there is this conscious layer of the mind, subconscious layer, and there is also something which he called collective unconscious. In yoga we prefer to call it superconscious mind because I like the word super better. Superconscious mind. And that superconscious mind is also subdivided into 3. So all in all there are 5 layers of the mind. Kamamaya Kosha, the layer of desire, Manomaya Kosha, subconscious layer or layer of intellect and memory. Then there is this Atimanas, first layer of the superconscious mind, where the spark of creativity, the spark of intuition is. Then there is this Vijnanamaya Kosha, the layer of pure knowledge, special knowledge. And then there is this Hiranamaya Kosha, or some people call it Anandamaya Kosha, the layer of bliss. Hiranamaya Kosha means golden layer. There is effulgence there. So Pancha Kosha Viveka is ability to discern between the koshas, the layer of the mind, and consciousness. And our goal is consciousness and not the koshas. So through this Pancha Kosha Viveka, people stop worshipping the koshas and they try to achieve the final goal, the consciousness. Of course, each and every layer of the mind has to be developed, and each and every layer of the mind has its needs, which has to be fulfilled. Just like the body. The body needs clothes, the body needs food. But if our existence is only centered at the procuring of food and clothes, we can hardly call ourselves human beings, because there is no higher pursuit in life. Similarly, with other layers of the mind, the body is not the layer of the mind, it's like the crudest portion of our being, but we can call it like a 6th layer of the mind. It's not the mind because it is perceptible, it's physical. The mind is abstract, you cannot touch the mind. But it is the expression of the mind. So if we only pursue the needs of the body, or if we only pursue the desires which are connected with the body, we can hardly be called human beings. There are other higher needs of the human existence. But above all those needs, there is the consciousness. And to that consciousness, we have to aim ourselves. This Pancha Kosha is actually very good, very practical ability to create a very strong culture. Culture is something which cultivates. It comes through the word cult. Cult, spiritual cult. Maybe a scary word for some, the cult. Oh, very some mystical cult. But I love this word. It's a cult. It's not merely a theory. You read the books, but it is a cult. It is a spiritual cult. And you cultivate yourself. You develop yourself. So culture comes from cult. Culture is that which make you a human being. If there is a strong culture, automatically flowing in the mainstream, you become a spiritual person. You develop yourself physically, you become physically fit. You develop yourself mentally, you become mentally strong. You develop yourself spiritually, you become spiritually elevated. That is culture. And there is something which looks like culture, but actually is not culture. And for that there is a Latin word, is pseudo. Something which looks very similar to, but not actually. That is pseudo culture. If there is a Panchakosha Viveka, it will become very easy to distinguish between culture and pseudo culture. The culture needs to fulfill all the needs of your koshas, develop all your koshas, and finally lead you beyond the koshas to the final frontier, to that supreme consciousness. I will give example. If there is not this discrimination developed, the ability to discern, then people get confused. They mistaken the functions of the koshas for the expression of the unit consciousness. They think it is the soul, comes from God, but actually it is just the functioning of those koshas. And that is fine, we need all those koshas. But we have to understand what is what, and not to confuse something spiritual with something not spiritual, with something mental. For example, the most gross example I will choose. A lady comes and she says that, today I was meditating and I thought, I must marry this man. I think it comes from God. God will tell me. God tells me I have to marry him. And then I heard many cases like that. People have some desire, and then there is process of justification. And that is okay. You admit yourself. Okay, I have such and such needs. I want to eat. I want to sleep. There is nothing wrong with that. But it is wrong to confuse, okay, Brahma, the Supreme Consciousness wants me to sleep. It is the work of the body. It is the work of the mind. So we should not confuse. Otherwise, if we confuse, then we get very, very confused and lost. What happened? I thought it is God has directed me to this. Everything should be fine, but it's not working. Why is it like that? Then there is this, the first layer of the mind. I will give the entire lecture on the layers of the mind later. I will just shortly explain. The first layer of the mind is Kamamaya Kosha, the layer of desire. It is the connection of the mind and the body. Here you feel the needs of the body, and you act upon the needs of the body. Somebody stung you, some insect, and you do like this. This is the action, instinctive action of the Kamamaya Kosha. Or you feel the smell. Oh, it smells nice. Looks like somebody is making the pizza. Let me go and eat. That's Kamamaya Kosha. Then Manomaya Kosha, intellectual layer. Then Atimanas Kosha, the layer of the creativity. So often we mistake something intellectual for the real thing. There is the work of the intellect. I'm remembering things like musicians. They play and they say we create art, but actually they not create. They're not creating. They're recreating. They have heard many times. Now they're reproducing, recombining. But sometimes they actually do. Sometimes they go when this mastery of the instrument has become perfect, and they let it go, they forget everything, and they go into the trance, they get absorbed in the music, then something that they don't understand, they don't know, comes out of them, and they get themselves surprised. Wow, how come? where it came from. So this means that the third layer, superconscious mind, has become activated, and there is a flow of superconscious mind when the intellectual layer has become suspended, is not disturbing anymore, is not judging and saying, okay, it should be like that, it should be like that. It's just no more there. So then the superconscious mind is flowing. And that is, if you have Panchakosha Viveka, you will be able to see and you will be able to understand what is the real thing and what is the emulation of the real thing. Sometimes I go with the taxi or with the shared car, and the driver will put on some pop songs, popular music, and I'm listening. What is going on there? Sometimes I think those songs are not anymore written by humans, because there is no even the slightest spark of light there. It's just intellectually produced. They're designed to point at some the crude sentiments, and that's it. There is the particular pattern there already discovered, and you can, anybody, a child can do it. A child can reproduce it. Just write new song and new song and new song, no problem. There is a pattern. It's a completely intellectual. There is not a spark there. And this spark, sometimes it comes due to the, as I say, that you master music, sculpture, art. And then the moment comes when you forget everything. You're not anymore focused on the form. You just become an instrument and everything flows through you. Or sometimes a person is born with a developed superconscious mind. And then his expression is not mature. But in that immature expression, you see the spark of genius, and that still intrigues you. It is still beautiful. That I often see in people who meditate. Maybe they're meditating and they're working somewhere. They are working in some other spheres. They're not developing their fine art skill. But still, when they try to perform something, you see there is a spark. That's because the superconscious mind is developed, but the media, the skills for that is not there. And it is better in comparison if there is a skill but there is no spark, there is no light in it. It's not interesting, it's boring. So like that, to be able to see the real thing and to see the emulation, to see the fake, if everybody would have that taste, imagine what kind of culture we would have. Because culture is something which opens your wings. You become stronger. The soul craves for beauty. And that beauty is actually Brahma, the absolute consciousness. So when we see the expression of that beauty through different media, that is the culture. And that nourishes your soul. And if we would have that Panchakosha Viveka, we would reject. Those things would become unpopular, which are on the layer of the Kamamaya Kosha, of the crude desire, and on the intellectual layer. We would strive for higher expression. And then there is, beyond that, there is knowledge which cannot be expressed. It is only knowing. It's called Vijnanamaya Kosha. You don't know why you know or what you know. Sometimes it is happening. A person doesn't know, but he knows that he knows something. And he knows that now I'm going to start to speak. Something will come out. It's a formless knowledge. Also, maybe this is more towards this Atimanas Kosha, the superconscious mind. But there is another. Like I have my friend, he's doing meditation more than 20 years, and he said, Dada, I think my intuition has developed a bit. He said, I just know. I take the book, for example. Somebody has praised that book to me, and I got inspired to read it. I take it in my hands, and immediately I know I should not read it. It's not worth it. But intellectually I convince myself, no, why? This person, I respect him, he has recommended me, I should read. Then I start reading, it wasn't worth it. So he said many times, I know beforehand, but I don't believe myself. And I just do according to what my intellect says. But he says, actually, as I do more of sadhana or spiritual practice, this ability of yes or no is developing within myself. Can you imagine if you would have that power to know always very clearly, that clarity? How to develop that? Is only through the discipline of the mind. When the mind doesn't have any prejudice, inclination for or against, then this clarity comes. In meditation it is developed, because the mind wants to run in different directions. It has so many prejudices. It has so many desires. I want something. I am feeling repelled from something else. I like and I dislike. And then you calm all of that. And you direct the mind towards the meditation. You train the mind to be disciplined. So in that discipline of the mind, which is called concentration, that ability comes to know the truth. And it is still not final. And then there is a higher one. It's the state of bliss. Hiranamaya Kosha is a state of effulgence. In that layer, you perceive the effulgent light and feel bliss. One friend of mine, she was explaining. She said, I opened my eyes, I gave namaskar to my students, and suddenly I saw that everywhere there is this effulgent light from every eyes, from every person, and all the heads, all the bodies, they start to merge in that ocean of divine light. And I was just seeing everything with the Eve, everything merging into the divine light. So that experience is beautiful, but it is not the final one. It is said that God is hidden under the veil of effulgence. There is this beautiful white golden effulgence, and the true form, which is formless, which is shapeless, true essence of God is beyond that, and you have to go beyond that. So all those layers, they need to be developed, and we need to see the difference between them. And then finally we should know this is not the final, this is not the final. We go from lower to higher and higher. Okay, there is a very instinctive behavior. I want this, I don't want that. Desires. I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to procreate, all these things. Then there is a higher pursuits, intellectual pursuits. I am becoming an intellectual being which is able to control the basic drives. And there is still higher, the superconscious mind, which is the spark of originality, of the new ideas, of the genius expression. And then there is another one, completely formless, knowing. And there is another one, the bliss and the light. So these 5 expressions of the mind, and we know that still that is not my goal. After developing all those koshas, I am to pursue. And our culture, we need to build our culture in such a way that it explains clearly the goal of life. The goal of life is that final fulfillment, finding the consciousness, the absolute consciousness. So this is about Pancha Kosha Viveka, or the ability to discriminate the layers of the mind. It is very practical on the spiritual path, and especially in my opinion, especially in the realm of culture. Culture is the most important. Of course, in human history, there were several individuals, brilliant personalities that has shined, they have shone on our history, they have illuminated our path. But they were single individuals. And culture is something which makes the entire population of humanity to move towards great and sublime ideal. And if we want the welfare for humanity, we have to create a very strong culture. And we will be able to create a very strong culture if we develop that discrimination of what is a real thing and what is an emulation, what is the real expensive thing and what is the cheap copy. Thank you very much. Namaskar.